Cornerstone Market in between customers. So we might have sudden interruptions in this video, and I'm gonna do the best I can to keep her moving, all right? So here we're making Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap. And if you want the recipe for that, you can go to www.kimberlymcnutt.com. And I'll put that in the description as well. And if you go to the free recipe page, you can find that. The only thing we add to that is glycerin. Glycerin, other than that, it's just lard, water, and lime. These are Kim's favorite recipe. You can find that on the page as well, under the free recipe link. And you can find links on watching me make different soaps using these recipes. I predominantly use the same base recipe, but the only thing I alter is the super fats and the additives and the essential oils or the scent. Now this is our standard super fat. And then if you look here, you can see this one is much fuller and has a lot more in it. And that is the lotion bar recipe. So that's bar number 16. So this morning I turned them all on and they've all been cooling down. They're still a little warm, but I had customers and I didn't get to cut them off exactly when they needed to. The only problem that can occur with that is if you leave your crock pot on too long to the point that you start cooking your oils, the scent of those oils will translate into your soap. And that's not too bad of a deal with coconut and olive oil and some things, but lard and beef and things of those things, when you start cooking beef, you start smelling French fries. You know, when you start cooking lard, you start smelling lard, pig, bacon type smells. And so if you get your lard so hot to the point that you can smell bacon or smell the pig, don't use it for soap, or you can call it bacon soap and don't put any scent in it and it'll smell like bacon. All right. So the other difference between the lard recipes and these recipes is I calculate these on the soap calculator with 0 super fats, and then I add my own super fats at the end. Now, why do I do that? Because the lye turns the oils into soap, right? When you put the lye water in the oils, it turns it to soap. And if you figured a 5 or an 8 or a 10 super fat percentage on your recipe on the soap cal, or you're using a recipe that's already got a figured super fat in there, then whatever the lye chooses not to eat and turn into soap is what's left floating around in the bar to moisturize the skin. But I didn't want lard moisturizing the skin, except for in the Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap, because that's what people are looking for. But I wanted shea butter and cocoa butter and stuff like that to be what goes in here as to what would be floating around in the bar. So if you cook it and just cook your base oils with your lye water and you cook that, then there's no super fats in there unless you put olive oil. There's a few oils that just will not 100% saponify, and olive oil is one of them. So I try to use base oils that will 100% saponify. So I'm going to turn what's in this crock pot 100% into soap, and then I'm going to dump my super fats in at the end after the lye is dead from the cooking process, because the lye dies in the heat of the cooking process. So when after it's finished cooking, you could take this soap and immediately use it on your skin, and it's hot, so it might burn you because it's hot, but it won't burn you because there's active lye in it. Where with cold processed soap, you're dumping everything in there together, including your additives and whatnot, when the lye is active, so everything gets touched by the lye. But by doing it this way, the thought pattern is nothing in this bowl, these wonderful organic and unrefined shea butters and oils, will not be touched by the lye. So they're going to be, besides the heat that they will encounter when they're added, they're going to be unaffected by the lye and by the soap making process. Okay, so the lard uses a different amount of oil and water, I believe, because I made it a little bit bigger recipe. And then the rest of these, I'll use the same water and oil percentages because this is all the same base recipe. I'm just going to do different things to this soap, predominantly at the end, to make them what we want them to be. Okay? All right. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I have on my eye protection and my gloves to protect me from the lye. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start mixing the lye water into the oils. Okay, so here is our container of lye. It is a drink jug for mixing Kool-Aid, tea, that kind of thing. And whenever we mix it, we let it sort of do its frothy thing, and then we put the lid on it with this open so it can still breathe. And then once it's all calmed down, we seal it and we put it in the refrigerator, and then the next day we use it. All right, so we've got my stick blender going, and I'm going to put the super fats back here in the back out of the way, and here we go. Normally I would take my lye water out and let it sit for a bit and calm down on the coolness, but since my oils are a little warmer than I like them, I'm putting it in straight from the refrigerator, very cold. I have found that if you take this and do it like this, that you get more out, because everything that's in there was prescribed to go in here. All right. And the little holes in here, I'm making sure that I'm keeping those under the level, under the full line, because if you bring those up and you turn it on, it's going to spray lye water and oil all over you. And if you're worried that you haven't got all the top mixed, just don't turn it on and give it some swirls at the top like this. And there you go. We are not bringing this to trace. We are doing hot process soap, and all we have to do is just blend it. Now I'm just going to set that over in my next crock and do the next one. If our lid doesn't seal real well, then we'll put saran wrap under it to make sure it does, because air contact reduces its strength, and we don't want to reduce its strength. Now the one that I finished here, I'm going to put it on low, putting the super fat for the next one in the back, and we're going to do the next one. And as soon as I finish with this, I'll take this to the sink and I'll rinse it really good. And you just want to have a custard that doesn't have any glassy, swirly places in it, because that's stuff that didn't get blended. if you try to bring your oils to trace, the heat will slowly come up the rod and burn out your motor in a short period of time. And there's just no need to do that. All right, put it on low. We're going to start the cooking process. Okay, so this is our lard soap. I'm using a different stick blender. It's not my favorite. It doesn't have the little metal indentions at the bottom, and it sucks itself right to the bottom of my crock pot, and I have to go and get it disconnected sometimes, which drives me crazy. But when I'm doing one extra recipe of some kind that's not the same as the others, it's perfect to have this one handy, so I don't have to wash that one. When you're making a different base recipe, make sure you use separate spoons and utensils. Do not stir this and then stir your other soaps, because then you're going to come back and bring coconut oil or olive oil or whatever into this soap, and this soap will no longer be Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap, because you've got something else in there that's not going to be on the label. And then if you ever do get checked by the FDA and they do chemical testing of your bar, they'll confiscate all of it because it has something that's not on the label in it. All right, so here we go. Did you see that? This one's much harder to deal with because it gets stuck to the bottom, and then when you pull it out, sometimes it pops up higher than you want it to. And so, see, that's why we wear gloves and eye protection. Okay. So now we've got it all mixed. I'm taking that to the sink. I need to get a spatula to clean up that mess. And we'll keep this spatula for this crock pot. And this is our Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap. All right, so put that on low and we'll start cooking these soaps, and I'll bring you back. And let me get the time. It is 12 minutes after 1 o'clock in the middle of the day. Hey everybody. Okay, it's exactly 1:18, an hour later, and I'm just now getting to check my soap because we've had customers. And that is the peril of trying to make soap at the Cornerstone Market when you don't have anybody here but yourself. Okay, so I'm going to bring you up to speed on our crock pots. Here we go. We're zooming in. We've got a nice little butt crack going there. Here we still have a gel center. That's where the lye is active. This is soap. That's gel. Or the gel phase compared to the soap phase or some freaking thing another. All right, and this one here, we've got a nice butt crack going. Here as well. Here as well. And the lard soap is really perking along. So I need to stir the little boogers. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is do some stirring. Oh, Okay, so the first one I'm gonna stir is our lard soap, which is right here because it seems to be the tallest in the crock. And I've got a little bit of gel still up here on the top. I'll show you that. Well, if it would stay together. See, there's gel. So this is just really coming out of gel. It's still got a little bit of gel left in it. And gel is the phase that you definitely have light activity. I don't wear gloves or goggles once the soap starts coming out of gel. It's pretty stable. But in the first hour, when you are a new soaper, it can happen that your crock will boil over. And that's because you put things together at the wrong temperature. One lady contacted me, she's like, I don't understand what happened. I had the crock pot on low and my lye water was fresh made. So she put fresh hot lye water into a crock pot that was still hot with oil because it was on low. And of course, it got so hot that it did just like your pasta does when it boils over, or when you're cooking potatoes for potato salad, it boiled over. And that's what happens when it starts coming out of the crock pot. We call it a volcano because it sort of looks like one. So the first hour, it's still good to wear your goggles and your gloves and things because stuff can come spewing out of here. It usually doesn't propel, but I've seen it happen where it propelled out of here. So the first hour is when you need to watch about things overflowing. And as you get used to your recipe and you get used to, you know, what temperature things need to be and stuff like that, then I just touched the lid and it was pretty hot. You saw me jump. But even with that, I don't always turn the crock pots off. Sometimes Bridget will turn the crock pot off, or a previous employee will turn the crock pot off for me and let me know that they've cooled. And so one time we had a big old line of these things going, and I made a video on it because I just happened to have the camera going when it happened. And she had this one was still on low. She had not turned it off. She'd turned them all off but this one, and she checked others, and when they were right, but she never actually checked the one that she still had on low. So when I poured the lye water in there, it just started going crazy because it was too hot. The lye water makes a reaction with the oils, and then the heat of cooking, and all these factors can cause boil over. So, you know, the first hour, it doesn't hurt to be extra cautious when dealing with the soap. And what do you do when your soap boils over? It's one of the reasons you want to try to have a really clean surface, is because you can just scoop it up and poke it back in there. Now, if you're selling your soap, it'd be good not to sell that soap. I mean, it did fall out all over the place. But it is still good soap. You can make laundry detergent out of it. You can use it for personal use. I will let you be your own judge on what's best behavior for your selling practices. And I'm going to bring you closer in now and show you something I think is important. One of the reasons that we get the crispies is because people don't stir their soap for long periods of time. And down in the crevices, I don't know if y'all can see that, but that right there is soap that's gotten crispy, okay? Because I didn't stir it for a whole hour. So down in the crevices, always stir real good and pull that up. That will most likely not melt back into the soap. And there is another piece of it. See it? That is a crispy in the process of being made. And why? Because I didn't stir my soap for a whole hour. And we try to stir it after it's been going for about 30 minutes. And then about every 20 minutes or so, we try to stir it. Now, if you'll notice, it's in the mashed potato phase here. Doesn't look shiny or anything. And here you can see we've got gel in the middle, just about finished being heated up enough. This is a gel ring where it hasn't been disturbed, and then this is bubbling soap here on the sides. But all of that is considered the mashed potato phase, except for, of course, that gel that you saw there in the center. So as soon as it starts coming out of gel, I like to stir it and break up the gel. And really stir good down in the crevices, because that's where you grow Crispies. And then the other thing that causes Crispies is not cleaning these edges up when you stir. So always stir your edges up. And then, let me set you back out here. Get the little flip down. There we go. I can see where I'm at. The next thing is to clean your spoon. Crispies will grow on your spoon because they'll become solid, hard pieces of soap that won't digest back into the soap while it's cooking, and will cause you to have Crispies. And so by cleaning your spoon, as soon as you stir, and you can see right there, there's a place where it's sticking. Oh, there we go. And that will form what I call a Crispy. So, and I'm not always the best at keeping out the Crispies, but I think my soap looks just fine with a few Crispies. It gives it character, shows its homemadeness. And this is what I call a butt crack. Hang on. See that? That's a butt crack. We like to see butt cracks. We know things are going good when we see a butt crack. Hear all the pops? That says I'm still cooking. I ain't done. And it's not, this one's got a little glisten here and there, but predominantly it's very frothy and still says mashed potatoes. And we're digging around in the crevices. And a lot of times when I'm working with my soap, I'll put my soap on high heat for the first hour. But I knew that I was going to have lots of distractions today while making this soap, because I'm running the store and making soap. So I'm cooking on low right from the beginning so that I would eliminate overcooking and the problems that occur when you don't stir. It's cooking slower, so therefore it's not as big a deal if I don't stir it as often as I should. We do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crock pots. One of them is unscented old-fashioned, grandma's old-fashioned lard soap. So as soon as it's done, we're just going to mold it up, add the glycerin, stir, and be done with it. And then the other 4, we are making, I know we're making bar number 9, we're making bar number 8, we're making 10, that's our sinus soap, 9 and 8 is acne soap. And 16, our lotion bar. And there's one more and I can't remember what it is, but I got a list over there, so I'll let you know as soon as I figure it out. Oh, bar number 1. Oh my gosh, that bar number 1 has been selling like gangbusters lately. And so we got to do bar number 1 right off the bat. We got to get that thing out of here. We got a lady that's wanting 12 bars, and another lady has ordered a bunch on the website. And I should have made 2 crocks of it, but I didn't know I was going to get the 2 big orders. I just knew we were out and the customers were asking for it here in the store. And so if I'd known that, I'd have made 2 batches, but I didn't. So we're gonna. I'm gonna make more next week. That's all I can tell you. All right. So it is. Let me find the time. we're tracking, because y'all don't get an idea of the time because I turned the camera off. 2:30. It's 2:30 and we're still cooking. Hey everybody. Okay, let's see what time it is. It is 3:55 and I have not stirred this soap once. I have been dealing with customers. So I just came in and cut them all off because they looked done to me, and they're glassy, and they still got a little bit of bubble to them, but they're pretty glassy, and they're looking really Vaseline. So I'm gonna start putting in the super fats. Let me bring you up and let you show you what one looks like. Hang on, going for a ride. Okay, so you see we get a few pops, but then that's it. So that's pretty much coming out of the Vaseline stage. And see how glossy it is? Very shiny, very glossy, very Vaseline-y. So I'm calling it done. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to add our super fats. Okay, our first one is the bar number 1. And with bar number 1, we have to be very sure to get all of our bentonite clay blended. We're putting a half a cup of bentonite clay in here. And I bought mine from Crafter's Choice, bentonite clay. They seem to have the best prices online for bentonite clay. And so now I'm just taking a mini whisk, and you've got to get all of it dissolved. You can't have any clumps of clay. If you have clumps of clay, you'll have clumps of clay in your soap. And so I'm going to do my best to get it well blended. Any place I don't and I have a lump will cause a little powder lump in the soap, which is not a disaster zone. I mean, it doesn't make the soap unusable. There'll just be a little lump in your soap of powder that didn't get dissolved, but once you start taking a bath with that, it just goes away. So I think I got it pretty good. So in it goes. And the beauty of this is the lye is dead at this point. So the bentonite clay, the shea butter, and all that will not be touched by the lye. And that's one of the reasons we love this method. I think I actually invented it because everybody gave me hell about it whenever I started doing it. You can't control what the lye takes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, if you don't stick it in till after the lye is dead and the soap is cooked, how's the lye going to decide what it takes? And now I've seen that several prominent soapers online use the method as well, so it's finally become accepted amongst the soaping community. And there for a while, though, it was very iffy if people were going to take over, like the method, but so many people did that like it and see the sense in it, that it came pretty much as an accepted method of soaping. So we got that one done. Now I'm going to put it like this. There is still some shea butter and whatnot cooling in there So we have to let that happen. So this is bar number 1. Now the next one is bar number 10. And I'm going to clean some of the crispy soap off of my spatula here. Okay. All right. So now we're working on this one right here. So I'm going to put you right here and walk in front. And we're going to need our spice, which seems to be eluding me at every turn. There it is, Majorian. Okay. And I have took to loving these little Chinese soup spoons that you get from the Chinese people, the Chinese restaurants, when you buy to-go soup, because they're just the most handy little things. You just do a heaping tablespoon and you'll have a rough tablespoon. So 4 of those are going in to bar number 10. Same thing, we're going to blend it in. It's not as bad as the bentonite clay. These kind of spices seem to blend okay if a little bit of it is not completely blended up into the super fats. So it's not as tedious with that. All right, I'm gonna walk in front of you again. Sorry. All right, and in she goes. And on that KimberlyMcNutt.com, I've got 2 ways to super fat soap on there. I think it's super fatting soap or how to super fat soap. There's a link there. There's quite a few links on the left going down the page. And so if you cannot find shea butter yet, or you cannot afford shea butter yet, you're just getting started out, I have a super fat method for using things you can find locally. So and then I have this one too, and of course the recipe on what is in here at the moment is also and see the crispy there. There we go. A little bit was stuck to the spoon. All right. And so I'm going to leave the spoon in here and clean my edges. And there was just a little bit of hard soap stuck to the side of the crock pot that got missed when I was cleaning edges. So I'm going to scoop that out. Alright, so that's bar number 10. And that will make green, by the way. I didn't tell you. Alright, so now let's see what the next one is. Okay, we got a bar number 8. And bar number 8 takes turmeric and paprika. Let me find the paprika. I think that's it right there. Let me get rid of that. That was our crispy I dug out a while ago. Let's get our next super fat. And all these crocks are turned off. Let's see. Get you down here where you can see. So we've got our turmeric and our paprika and our trusty Chinese soup spoon. And so we're gonna put 1, 2, 2 tablespoons of paprika, and 3 tablespoons of turmeric. And get our whisk and blend this up, and it makes a really pretty tangerine color. And I put some, this is our acne soap, but this is the acne soap for oily skin. So I put tangerine in here, and if you don't have tangerine, orange, citruses, lemon, something to remove the excess oil from their skin. Okay. Let me clean my spatula. I could go get a fresh one, but it's not real bad. So I'm gonna just clean it off. And in she goes. And now let's get the powder out of here. We don't want to accidentally have a little soap come over the edge and get in my spices. And so this will make a real pretty orange. Now, when turmeric gets hot, it gets extra orangey, but it levels out. So this will not quite be this orangey whenever it's finished. And we're what we call preliminarily stirring it. There's still shea butter to melt, and it takes some time for the super fats to sort of digest into the soap. So I will stir this a couple more times before it will be ready to have the essential oils added. And it's still got to cool down, so it'll take a while for it to cool down. All right, I'm gonna put the paprika up. And our next one is bar number 9. And bar number 9 gets just turmeric, and then I also add activated charcoal in a swirl when I mold it. And of course I'll show you that when we get there. I'm gonna rinse this, hang on. Okay, get our plastic wrap off. We make this the day before, and so we cover it to keep critters out of it or dust. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tablespoons. Now this soap will do 22 bars. So this is not just 11 bar of soap. This is a double batch. The recipes on the website are a single batch. So like for the bentonite clay, you would have used 1/4 of a cup instead of 1/2 cup if you're doing a single batch. But I am using a 7-quart crock pot, doing a double batch, which is 2 times a single batch as listed on my website. And so I will be producing more soap. If you are using a single batch, you need at least a 4-quart crock pot. cloth. All right. And see, this is much more yellower but at first, but see how it's turning that bright orange when it hits the heat, but it levels back out to a yellow. And of course, this is our preliminary stir. There's still a lump of shea butter to melt. And that is a crispy. And that was a crispy. Come off my spoon. And so was that. I should have changed spoons, but we're just running around like a chicken with our head cut off today. Just doing the best I can. And there is a little crispy. Just waiting to happen. That fell off the spoon. And that's why you change spoons, which I didn't do. Okay, so that's bar number 9. And let's see, what's the last one we're doing today? Oh, bar number 16. Bar number 16 gets embeds. That's going to be fun. You'll enjoy that, I hope. And it gets separate, it gets different superfats that are the lotion bar superfats, which you will find right there at the bottom of the recipes on the Kim, where the Kim's favorite is. The lard recipe's on there too, and it doesn't get superfats, so it's on down the page. But there where the main recipes are and the superfats are listed just below, you will see the lotion bar recipe. And you can see it's got cocoa butter, it's got avocado oil. And if you don't have the extra oils, you can just beef up the shea butter and the coconut and the olive oil to the same amounts as what this calls for. So where it calls for, let's say it's 10 ounces and you don't have all the other oils, then create 10 ounces of what you do have and put in here. But do not put the olive oil in here. Olive oil is one of the most moisturizing soaps, oils. It is just wonderful. Olive oil soap makes a soft soap, and it takes forever to get it to where it'll cut. It takes forever for it to cure, but of course a lot of people mix some coconut oil in there with it to make a soap they can tolerate, you know, that doesn't take forever. In Italy and the different places where they make this soap, that's just 100% olive oil soap, it cures for like 9 months or a year before they'll even mess with it. Okay, so now we're going to do the Grandma's old-fashioned lard.